Please subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon to get the regular updates of my channel, and do not forget to like, comment and share. Hello everyone, welcome back to SaaS with ServiceNow. This is part of ITSM Implementation Mock Training. In this video, we will configure mandatory fields on change management form, that is change request form. Our first task will be making fields mandatory before change is submitted. So fields we have like requested by, configuration item, implementation group, implementer, impact, description, planned start, planned end, justification, implementation, plan, and then backout plan, and then test plan. So these are the fields which should be mandatory before any user submit the change. Next task is that we have to create new fields. Outage type, which should have three choices: degradation, outage, and no outage. And then we have outage start field and then outage end field, which is basically the date and time fields. And the third task is we have to make mandatory these two fields, which are outage start and end fields. They should become mandatory if outage type is outage or degradation. So let's see how exactly you can make these changes for change request form in our instance. So let's go to change request form and make those fields mandatory. So if I go here, as of now, if I click on create new, I will get an option to create new change. That is also different types of change. So if I go here, we have normal change. Let's click on normal change. If I click here, you can see that all these fields are not mandatory. So what we will do, we will make these fields mandatory. So let's do that. So we will start with requested by, which is not even mandatory. It gets populated automatically, but let's make it mandatory. So if I right click here, and if I go to configure dictionary, and let's see if it is on change. Yes. So this field is on change request only. So it has to be mandatory. So in that case, what I will do, we will basically make these fields mandatory at dictionary level, because it has to be mandatory every time. It cannot be empty. So I will just make it mandatory. I will just click on save. This is mandatory now, and I will go to the form again. I think I should go to the existing form so that at least I can make those changes. Then we have configuration item. Configuration item is not yet mandatory, so I will make this one mandatory as well. But you have to remember that configuration item is basically on task table. It is not change request field. It is inherited from task table. So we will not make it mandatory directly at dictionary level. What we will do, we will use dictionary override. We already have this one, change request. So I will click on this one, and we will just make override mandatory, and I will check this checkbox, and I will just click on save. You are done. That is also mandatory. So if I click on open, if I click here, you will see that now configuration item is also mandatory. We have implementation group. These two should also be mandatory. So I will just right click here, configure dictionary, and I will do it at dictionary level. We can also do it at UI level if you want, but I'm doing it at dictionary level. So we have this here because we have to do dictionary override, because even implementation group is basically the assignment group at the back end. And we have to make sure that we are not impacting any other form. So we have made it mandatory. I will click on save. I will go to the form again, and this time we will make implementer. Now implementer should be mandatory when I actually submit this change for basically further approval. So if I click on new, let's try to create a new change. And if I create, let's say, emergency change. For this, I don't have this a particular implementer. But you can see I'm getting this submit button. So yes, I should be able to, I think if it goes to FF stage, I think, then we should definitely have, or maybe schedule stage. If it goes to schedule stage, then it should have implementer. So if you are moving into schedule, so let's say if I create a change, or let's open here, if we have any change. So we have any new change, this one. It's a new change, you can see. And if I authorize, if I move it to authorize, and if I just click on save. So as of now, we are good because it moved to authorize. It's okay. Change is waiting for approval. So we have these approvers because we have moved it to authorized state. Now once anyone is approving this, so let's say if I click on approve, I think it will move to schedule state. Yes, you can see it moved to schedule state, and we also have implement. So I think if I move to implement, then implementer should be mandatory. And if I click on save, then you can see, yeah, I can change it, but without implementer. But for any implementation, implementer should be mandatory. So what I will do, I will not make any dictionary level change for this. I will directly make it on UI. So what I will do, I will go to UI policies because we want to have implementer mandatory. So let's create a new UI policy for our change request form. And if I click here, and I will just mention mock dot, we will mention make implementer mandatory. So we are making it mandatory. And when exactly we are doing that? We are doing it when state is actually changing to implement. So if it is implement, I will just save it now. So we have saved this. And now I will create UI policy action. So I will click on UI policy action for this new button. And here I will select that implementer field. So I will select implementer field. And if I go here, we have implementer, and I will make it true mandatory. And I will click on submit. So our UI policy is created. So I can go to any existing change request. If I click here and if I go here, I'm sure it will be mandatory. So yeah, you can see. So when you reload the form, when form was loaded properly, then you can see it's implement, and implementer becomes mandatory. So if you are making implement, then basically it becomes mandatory. So this field is also mandatory. Then we have impact. So if I go to, we have these fields, conflicts, notes, planning, we have description, we have impact, and we have description. So I will make this one as mandatory as well. I think because risk is also auto-populated, impact can also be, I think, automatically populated. So let's not make this one mandatory for now. We will make description as a mandatory. So let's make short description and description as mandatory. I think it should be, if I remove this, you can see I can still save it. That's not good. So we should have short description and description as mandatory, because change request should have proper data in order to capture the information what exactly you're making the change to your infrastructure. That information should be properly mentioned in the change request. So for that, what I will do, I will just right click here and I will configure dictionary. We will do it at dictionary level because I want every change request, short description, and this should be mandatory. So what I will do, I think I don't have any particular change request dictionary override. Now short description and description, they are fields from task table. So I will do new, and here I will select change request, and then I will do override mandatory, and I'm done. And I will just click on submit. So our short description is also mandatory. I will go to the form again, and if I will check this, you will definitely see that short description will become mandatory. Yes. And then I will make this description mandatory. So I will make it mandatory from dictionary level. So I will go here, I will go to dictionary override, I will click on new. It doesn't have any dictionary override. So what I will do, I will just mention change request table, and I will just do override mandatory, and I will just click on submit, and you are done. So it is also mandatory now, and we have planned start date, end date. So I will go to that particular form again. I will click here, and we will go to planned start end date. So here we have schedule. These you can see they are still not available, because in order to, as I mentioned, in order to capture the proper information, these fields have to be mandatory. So I will do one thing. I will basically update the data. I think whenever I create a change, I think planned date should be mandatory for sure. So I will just directly go to these fields at dictionary level. Now it depends as well, that if you maybe you might get the requirement from your customers that don't make it at dictionary level, they want it maybe for on a particular condition. In that case, you can definitely change the solution, and you can basically make these fields mandatory, not from dictionary level, but maybe you can make it at client level. So it's totally up to the requirement you get from your customers. So we will just reload the form again. So now you right click here, and you click on configure dictionary. So we will see, yeah, these fields are already created on change request table. So we don't have to do any kind of override. So we can just check this checkbox and save it. You are done. So this is mandatory now. And if I go to the form again, so we have made start field as mandatory as of now, and then we will make it this one mandatory. So if I right click here, configure dictionary, and I make it mandatory. So now it's mandatory at dictionary level. So we will see other fields: justification, implementation plan, backout plan, test plan. That means the rest of the fields we have at the bottom of the form. So we will just go to the form, and we go to planning. So here we have justification, implementation plan, backout plan, test plan. Let's make these fields mandatory. So if I go to here, because for any change, justification is definitely important. I think ideally justification will be majorly important for emergency change. So I don't think you will get this directly. So if I go to any, let's go to any standard change or normal change. Let's open this one, because we want to see what all fields. So okay, we also have justification. I think normally normal change and standard change would not have any kind of justification. But if I talk about implementation plan, backout plan, test plan, they should definitely be mandatory. So I will right click on this one and configure dictionary and make them mandatory, but not justification. I think justification make it mandatory just for emergency change. If somebody is creating emergency change, then these justification field should be mandatory. So I will just open this one, and then I will make other fields mandatory as well, like backout plan and test plan. Because that's really important for everyone to know that what kind of backup plan we will have it. Let's say change got failed. So in that case, I will definitely fill backup plan. That is definitely important from change management process point of view. So I will go here, and then I will just click here. So basically now we have all these fields. So we have this test plan as well. And I will make it mandatory. Configure dictionary level. And yeah, you might get some issues maybe because standard changes, they already have a template and then you create it. So you might get some conflicts if you make these fields mandatory at dictionary level. So you have to make sure that you're doing the proper testing and make sure there's no impact to any of the change type of change we have in ServiceNow. So that is something you have to make sure. So all these fields are mandatory now. So if I open this field, is this particular request. So you can see requested by configuration item, description, short description, all these fields are mandatory, including implementation group and implementation plan, backout test plan. So that's how you can make these fields mandatory on change request form. Now, the second task was that we have to basically create 3 fields. So that's how you can do configuration to make the different fields on change request form. Now, the second task is that we have to create 3 fields on change management form, that is change request form. And what are those fields? Outage type, outage start, outage end. So what we will do, we will go to the form layout. So we will go to configure form layout and we will create 3 fields. So if I come here, we will start with outage and I will mention here outage type, and we will keep it string. That's totally fine. We will add it, and then I will basically keep this here outage type, and then maybe I will keep it before implementation group, and I can just save it. Why I'm saving it? Because I need other 2 fields in a different section. So I will close this. I have saved this, and now I will go to form layout again. So we will configure form layout, and here I will go to plan schedule 1. In schedule, I have to add these fields. So we will start with outage start, and here I will mention date and time. I will click on add and I will put outage end, and I will click on add. That's it. So we have these fields, and these fields will be, I think we have these split and like this. We can do like this. So let's click on save and let's see how exactly form is looking like, and we will click on close. So this is created directly on change management form, which is change request form. So we have outage type. As of now, it's showing as a string, and we have, if you guys go to schedule, we have outage start, outage end. Now what I can do, I can just right click here. I can click on configure dictionary because I have to add those choices as well. And this should be mandatory for sure, because that is something really important for us. So we will make it mandatory, and then I will just click on save. I will just add a choice without none because that's really important. And here we will put no underscore outage, and I will click on save. Now I will add choices. So here I will just go to choices, and now I will start creating choices. So we have first choice as outage, value can be outage, and sequence can be 1. And then I have the second one where I have degradation, and here I can just mention degradation, and I can just put the sequence as 2. And then we will go for the third one, which is no outage, and here I can just mention no underscore outage. That's it, and sequence will be 3. You're done. So your all of the 3 choices are created successfully. So now what we will do, we will go to our form and let's see how exactly it looks like. So we have a normal change. I will just select this one, and you can see outage type is mandatory. Outage, okay, it says outage is mandatory. I think it's saying outage as a default. Ideally, no outage should be as a default. And if I go to planning, we have these fields mandatory. If I go to schedule, these fields are not mandatory. But that's our third task. And third task is that when outage type is outage or degradation, then these 2 fields should be mandatory. That's ask we have. So now, but before that, I will just maybe try to create a new change and see if outage type is coming default. So if I click on this one, okay, great. So we can see, so outage type is definitely no outage as default. So if I will make it as degradation or maybe outage, these two fields should be mandatory. So how exactly we can achieve this? For this, you can just create a UI policy. That's it. So I will go to configure. I will go to UI policies. I will leave this one. And then I will just click on new. And here I will create a new UI policy where I will add the condition. So I will give it a name first. So we will give the name as mock dot make outage fields mandatory. That's it. And here I will mention outage type is one-off, outage or degradation. If any one of them we have outage or degradation, then it should be mandatory. So that's our UI policy. But now I will create UI policy action. So if I go to here and if I click on new, and I will select the fields, those new fields which we just created, and those fields are outage start and end. So where are our fields? Outage, yeah, we have here outage start, and I will make it true, mandatory, and I think I will also make them visible. They should be visible on only when you select outage type as degradation or outage. So in that case, I will just make visible, and then I will just click on submit, and then I will create another UI policy action, because that was for first field, and then I have to do it for second field. So if I go here, I click here, and then I will just click on field name, and then I will select outage. Where is outage? And yeah, we have it here, and I will make it true. I will make it true as well, visible, and I will submit it, and we will see whether it is becoming mandatory or not. So if I go here, I will click on open, and I will go to, let's say, emergency one, and you will see, yep, it's outage, and these are mandatory. Let's say if I make it no outage, you can see that those two fields are gone. You cannot see those fields. The reason is because UI policy is working on the client. That's how you can configure mandatory fields, and you can also make the fields mandatory or visible on the basis of conditions of some other fields on the form. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, and comment, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you and have a great day.